ਮਾਸ ਮਾਸ ਕਰ ਮੂਰਖ ਝਗੜੇ ਗਿਆਨ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣੇ ਕੌਣ ਮਾਸ ਕੌਣ ਸਾਧ ਕਹਾਵੇ ਕਿਸ ਮੈਂ ਪਾਪ ਸਮਾਣੇ
ਗੁਰਮੁਖੇ ਕੂੜ ਨਾ ਪਾਵਈ ਸੱਚੇ ਰਤੇ ਸਚ ਪਾਏ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ji Sadh Sangat ji, today we continue looking at the video produced by the Gurmat Babek Akhand Kirtani Jatha Toronto Singhs, and we'll be looking at two more panktiyan which they've tried to use in their argument against the eating of maas as per the Sikh tradition. The previous video we did focused on daya and dharam. There's much to be said about daya and the use of maas in the Sikh tradition, because there's so many more twisted interpretations of panktiyan that we need to debunk. I've left some of that conversation to be had going ahead. There's a massive amount of repetition using random panktiyan which have nothing to do with maas to strengthen their points. A lot of these panktiyan, Gurudev has given us examples and understanding of the corruption of religion. How in current practices there's a lot of corruption in what they do. And this isn't talking about the faiths per se, but it's talking about corrupt individuals who claim to represent their faith. So far we've spent roughly an hour covering 3 minutes worth of the AKJ Singhs videos. It's just that there's so much to cover and so much that can be said in trying to explain the correct understanding of the panktiyan which they're using and doing the panktiyan a little bit more justice, that the videos do tend to go on a bit, but I'm going to try and make them a bit shorter. Otherwise I'll be here the same time next year still trying to complete a response to their 30-minute video. So let's start.
ਗੁਰਮਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨਸ਼ੁਦਾ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹਰੇਕ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਫਲ ਭੋਗਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਮਾੜਾ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਵੀ ਮਾੜਾ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ।
So the video starts by Singh Sahib saying, ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਮਾੜਾ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਵੀ ਮਾੜਾ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ। Yes, we agree with this. This is the basic philosophy which we learn in Sri Japji Sahib every day. This is one of the examples of repetition. This point is continuously repeated and drummed in to the listeners' minds. And it's a bit like a great advertising campaign from Coca-Cola. If they keep telling you how great Coca-Cola is, how nice it tastes, how cool it is, then you start to believe it. And it takes you away from the more important issue of what it contains, how it's made, the short-term effects it has on you, which is an energy boost, the long-term effects it has on you, which can be your teeth dropping out, developing diabetes, developing obesity, etc. They keep drumming the one point and they keep quoting panktiyan as if Gurudev gave us that wisdom and that knowledge for the specific purpose of being able to understand whether we should eat meat or not. Actually, this immense wisdom that Gurudev has given us is for much, much more important issues. It's given to us to help us control our lives on a much wider spectrum.
ਜਿਹਾ ਬੀਜੈ ਸੋ ਲੂਣੈ ਕਰਮਾ ਸੰਦੜਾ ਖੇਤ। ਜੀਵ ਜੋ ਬੀਜਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਢਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਖੇਤ ਹੈ। ਵਿਚਾਰਵਾਨ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਖੁਦ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਲੈਣ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਾਨਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਣ ਲਈ ਬੇਰਹਿਮੀ ਨਾਲ ਮਾਰੇਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਫਲ ਭੋਗਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ।
ਜਿਹਾ ਬੀਜੈ ਸੋ ਲੂਣੈ ਕਰਮਾ ਸੁੰਦੜਾ ਖੇਤ। So as we sow, so shall we reap in the field of karma. This is a universal wisdom which is taught in all major faiths of the world, is taught in all Abrahamic faiths, It's taught in Judaism, Christianity, Islam. It's taught in all the Sanatan dharms. It's taught in Buddha as well. It's actually taught in all tribal cultures all across the world. In this earth, in this soil, in this pure field, let's not plant any of the seeds other than the seeds of compassion. Rumi Sahib, 13th century. Rumi was a very famous Sufi mystic, and he wasn't a vegetarian. The Bible says, "Do not be deceived, God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows." Jesus was not a vegetarian. This wisdom relates to the thoughts and actions of man, predominantly how they treat their fellow man. The treatment of fellow human beings is considered to be the highest priority and of utmost importance in all the world's faiths and cultures. And it's in exactly this bracket that mankind fails, treating people of other faiths which are different to theirs unfairly, aggressively, unjustly. Man fails in treating people who are of a different race to himself equally. Man fails with treating women with the respect that they deserve all across the world, be it in a medieval culture or be it in a modern culture. People who live in the West think that women are treated with equality or with respect. Anybody knows who works in the marketing, media and advertising industry, in the music industry, in the film industry, in fact in many industries, that many women are treated with anything but respect. Man treats those people of a lower economic class or those people of a lower caste with disdain. Men covet the property and women of other men. Men fight out of ego. Men fight for power. Men fight for fame. Men fight for resources, for money. Many a time, men incorrectly fight in the name of God, when God has nothing to do with the real reason or the real objective of that man's fight. These beautiful panktiyan which appear in other faiths and in our faith are of a much larger and more important nature than to do with the food that you eat. These philosophies have been given to us to make us understand that whoever we are, from whichever faith we are, from whichever culture we are, from whichever race we are, from whichever part of the world we are, we will be held accountable for our actions, especially our actions towards other people. Of course, if we treat our environment irresponsibly, we will also be held to account for that. But the fruit of us treating our environment with disrespect is an automated process, as we have seen in the past with ancient civilizations who didn't respect their resources and became extinct, and as no doubt we will see in the near future. With regards to the way that we treat animals, of course we are also held to account. If we treat animals with cruelty, if we look after animals and we don't feed them properly, and we keep them in squalid conditions, and we inject them with growth hormones, if we feed them offal when they're herbivores, we, in our very own lifetime, will have to reap the fruit of our cruelty. And we've seen this with examples like mad cow disease, where animals have been treated cruelly. Diseases have developed and passed on to human beings. No doubt, in the game of karm, where we've treated animals cruelly, then of course we will have to pay our karmic debt. But this is all a distraction technique, because the way that the Khalsa treats their animals is very different to the way cruel people treat their animals. Right from the Jan Pai, the horse, the Koda. The Khalsa loves its horses. The Khalsa grooms them every day. The Khalsa finds the best fodder for them. The Khalsa exercises them. The Khalsa gives them fresh water every day. The Khalsa treat and respect their horse better than they do themselves. Animals which are used, the bakra, the goat, the gun of the goat can be found in Bhai Gurdas Ji di Wara. These will be covered in a separate video. But even Bhai Gurdas Ji tells us how the amazing and humble goat has so many important uses, from providing nutritious food, to providing skin for the tabla, to providing strings for our tanti saj, and much more. But the way that the bakra is treated by Singhs is by far the most compassionate way I've ever seen anybody treat a slaughter animal. The bakra is kept in good condition, is given leaves, herbs, all kinds of foods, is handled very compassionately. At the point of slaughter, it's calmed down. The Khalsa waits for the animal to calm down. The animal is distracted with food or with a hand being calmly waved over its head. And when it's totally not suspecting it, it's instantly slaughtered. Where is this cruelty that these people keep talking about? Because I'm yet to see it. What these people may consider cruelty, i.e. shikar, is a totally different subject. Shikar is done by yodhe. Shikar is done by those who want to test their projectile skills, who want to test their kod swar, who want to test their horse riding skills, who want to test their stalking skills, who want to test their sword skills, who want to test their spear skills, who want to test their tir kaman and bow and arrow skills, who want to test the aim of their tupak, of their rifle. Now in shikar, yes, the animal is chased, the animal is flushed out. Hunting dogs are used. Now, here's something to think about. As we all know, Guru Har Gobind Sahib kept hunting dogs and went hunting. And this is evident in Bhai Gurdas Ji di Wara. Guru Gobind Singh kept hunting dogs and went hunting. Not just hunting dogs, they kept hawks and kestrels, which weren't just a sign of royalty and freedom. The hawks were used for hunting too. Have you ever seen how a hawk catches its prey? Have you ever seen how a hawk puts its talons into its prey? Have you ever seen a hawk ripping its prey with its beak while it's still alive? Have you seen what hunting dogs do? Do you have an idea what Guru Har Gobind Sahib's hunting dogs did? What Guru Gobind Singh's hunting dogs did? Hunting dogs are used to flush out prey. Not only will they flush it out, they will chase it down, especially dangerous prey like a jungli sur. You don't have one hunting dog, you have 4 or 5 at least. The hunting dogs will capture the wild animal. They will hold it down by its legs, by its face, until the shikari, its master, arrives. Then the shikari will end the wild animal's life with a blow from his shastra, whichever shastra that may be. Now, if these people think that the absolutely calm, compassionate, peaceful, instant method of slaughter called Jhatka is cruel, these people would be in for a heart attack if they knew what was involved in shikar in the old days especially. But again, because we've researched shikar, because we've done shikar, we have an idea of the reality of how it works. And we've had a chance to do khoj on how it works. For a domestic animal like a goat who has been brought up, fed and looked after by human beings, it is comfortable around human beings. So it is kept and slaughtered, treated in a way which is relevant to a domestic animal, albeit in kindness and in compassion. Now with a wild animal, you need to consider how would a wild animal especially a non-predatory wild animal, a herbivore, how would that animal die in the wild? In the wild, you have a natural balance between carnivores and herbivores. Only the fittest herbivores survive. A newly born antelope must be able to run within minutes if it's to survive. If it has any kind of injury upon birth, it will be captured and eaten within the first 30 minutes of its birth. This is nature. This is survival of the fittest. This is why in the wild, only the best, most athletic, healthy, strong animals survive. This is why shikari maas is the highest form of maas. When an animal gets too old to outrun its predators, it is caught, it is brought down, it is bitten, it is ripped, it is eaten. It's not a nice sight, but this is how animals die in the wild. This is the constant cycle of predator and prey. So the most natural way for an animal in the wild to die is to be hunted. And that which is natural cannot be cruel. This is why we cannot do shanka on the Guru's actions, because the Guru's hunted in these ways described. So for those people that are shastradari, that do shikar, that do jhatka, they have a much better understanding of the way that the Gurus lived, of the rehat Maryada of the Guru. They don't need to do shanka because they understand through experience and through khoj, which stems from experience. For those Singhs, like these Toronto Gurmat Vivek Akhand Kirtani Jatha Singhs, who live in cities, most likely they haven't kept animals. They haven't been around animals. They don't know what it's like to look after animals. They don't understand the ecology of nature. They don't understand how animals live and die. For them, a lot of their education comes through watching YouTube videos of Jhatka or from reading fanatical vegan or vegetarian websites, not forgetting the primary objective, which is to do prachar of and strengthen their founding members' beliefs on vegetarianism. The concept of Jhatka especially has been introduced by the Guru to ensure that Singhs treat animals with kindness. So the whole interpretation and application of this Bhankti and similar Bhanktiyan are completely irrelevant. They go against the Guru's own actions and they go against the Guru's Maryada, which is that of their, be it for the wild animal in shikar or be it for the domestic animal with Jhatka.
ਜੋ ਕਸ ਜਾਨਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਭੁਗਤਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ ਉਹ ਮਾਰਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਭੋਗਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ। ਇਨਸਾਫ ਦਾ ਤਕਾਜ਼ਾ ਤਾਂ ਇਹੋ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਅਗਲੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਨਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਨਵਰ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਵਡਾਉਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ।
He says ਜੋ ਕੁਛ ਜਾਨਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਭੁਗਤਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ ਉਹੀ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਭੁਗਤਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ। But why limit this to janwar? But why limit this to pasu? Why limit this to animals? What about other life forms? He then says, ਇਨਸਾਫ ਦਾ ਤਕਾਜ਼ਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਅਗਲੇ ਜਨਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਨਵਰ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਵਡਾਉਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ। So what I would like to do is take this principle of his and cross-reference it to something else in Gurbani. ਵੇਖੂ ਜੇ ਮਿੱਠਾ ਕੱਟੀਐ ਕੱਟੇ ਕੁੱਟੇ ਬੱਦਾ ਪਾਏ ਖੁੰਡਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਹੀ ਰੱਖੀ ਕੈ ਦੇਣੇ ਸੋ ਮਲ ਸਜਾਏ ਰਸੂ ਕਸੂ ਟਟਰੀ ਪਾਈਐ ਤਪੈ ਤੈ ਵਿਲ ਲਾਏ 200 ਭੋਗੂ ਸੁਮਾਲੀਐ ਦਿੱਚੈ ਆਗੇ ਜਾ ਲਾਏ ਨਾਨਕ ਮਿੱਠੇ ਪਤਰੀਐ ਵੇਖੂ ਲੋਕਾ ਆਏ। So here Gurudev gives an example of a sugar cane, of how it's cut down, of how its branches are cut off, of how it's placed in a kunda and crushed, of the pain it feels when its juice is extracted, of how it cries out loudly when it's heated and boiled, and then the remains of that sugar cane are collected and burnt in a fire. So, by applying the principle of Singh Sahib, if you consume any kind of juice from any kind of plants, then they've been through extreme pain. So if this is how you are treating plants, what you're saying is that you are also going to have to come back as a plant and be treated the same way. And if not, then prove it. If these people are going to invent their own principles and applications, then they can't pick and choose how they're applied. This is the reason we ask our Sangat to never accept anything at face value, irrelevant of how the people look, how they are dressed, and the authority with which they tell you. Always do your own khoj. Always cross-reference any pangati, any shabd, any bani with other pangtiyan, with other shabd. Do khoj and seek to understand the actual principle of that shabd. Then compare that principle with other shabds which are propagating the same principles, but by using different examples. Going through this shabd reminded me of a kahavat that our Mataji used to say when we were young. Bharo aya pagat tanna, kar aaye dam matha panna. So this saying is talking about the farmer Pagat Tanna, who after a long day's hard work came home and smashed the head of an onion. So if we try and apply the principle of our Singh Sahib here, then we're going to end up in a bit of a muddle.
ਜੋ ਸੁਜਾਨ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਹੀ ਕਰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਰਨ ਨਾਲ ਪਛਤਾਉਣਾ ਨਾ ਪਵੇ। ਐਸਾ ਕੰਮ ਮੂਲੇ ਨਾ ਕੀਚੈ ਜਿਤ ਅੰਤ ਪਛਤਾਈਐ।
He concludes the video by saying, ਜੋ ਸੁਜਾਨ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਉਹੀ ਕਰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਪਛਤਾਵਾ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ. So basically, don't perform those actions which you will regret afterwards. We think that our friend should have taken this advice himself. He should have thought before contributing to this video, which directly opposes all of our innIthihaas, which directly opposes the actions of the Guru, which directly opposes the Bharat and Rahats. He should have thought of the consequences. What will some of those consequences be? Well, this video reply is one consequence. Sujan Gursikhs, as he says, waking up, questioning how our Bani is being presented, doing their own khoj, finding the truth, discovering our ocean of innIthihaas, highlighting and exposing these types of interpretations of Gurbani and of Guru Mat. These are perhaps the fruit of their video, and these will perhaps be some of the regrets that they'll have, because their objective of doing the video was to propagate the beliefs and philosophy of Baid and Singh and of the Anti-Jhatka, and think by doing so in the very well marketed fashion that they did, and by overloading the listening Sangat with random pangtiyan, that they would win over the hearts and minds of Sangtan, or they would create enough fear in the Sangtan to believe in their vegetarian stance. As we've mentioned before, Gurmat is strong. Gurmat really does not need defending. Gurmat is like a lion. It just needs to be released. When it roars, it brings balance to its kingdom. Gurmat for us is the innIthihaas which has been suppressed for 100 years. It's the allowing of these interpretations of Bani and these applications of Bani which has gone on unchallenged for so long. It's the diminished common sense and the near extinct experience of having interaction with animals, of doing shikar, of doing jhatka, of becoming dependent on buying meat from stores, of the massive, well-coordinated, well-funded propaganda campaigns which have existed for the last 100 years, that has led to the agyanta of these subjects in the Panth. So we do ardas that this video has given you some food for thought, excuse the pun, and that you will be inspired and motivated to read Gurbani with an independent mind, to cross-reference Gurbani, to read innIthihaas, to not be scared to speak to those who practice the Purat and Maryada, to spend time with them, to see firsthand how things are done, why they're done, to do vichar on the subject, even vichar amongst friends, even vichar amongst sangat, vichar amongst family. But just note one thing: true vichar or true charcha can only be done amongst those people who between them are seeking the truth. Where you have two parties doing vichar and both parties are just trying to propagate what they believe to be the truth, it turns into a complete mess. It turns into a car crash. This is the reason why we seldom sit down with these kind of people to do vichar, because it's actually a complete waste of time. Because what's the objective of doing vichar with people who are in no way going to change their mind? The only way these people could ever change their mind is if they leave their jatha. So if you speak to these kind of people, you need to lay the premise of the vichar. If people are just going to regurgitate what their jatha, what their baba, what they may personally believe, then it's a complete waste of time having the discussion. If somebody approaches you and they want to talk and they make it clear that the aim of the talk, of the discussion, of the debate is to explore the evidence, is to explore Gurbani, is to explore innIthihaas, is to explore people's experiences and establish the truth, then of course it's absolutely worthwhile having a discussion with those kind of people. But another thing to consider is it's not worth getting into a discussion until you have a basic understanding or a basic knowledge of the subject in question. So we ask people not to rush into discussions, not to take a few of these facts that you're finding from these videos, or take a pangti from Gurbani, or take one sakhi from innIthihaas and go and start your own prachar campaigns, because that makes you no better than these people who release these videos. There's no rush to explain to others what you learn yourself. The first thing to do is to spend time and learn properly yourself. Spend time reading Gurbani, spend time doing Khoj, spend time reading innIthihaas, spend time cross-referencing it all. If and when you believe the Jhatka Shikar Maryada aspect to be correct, then spend time finding people who practice it, spend time with them, experience it. Get the whole package of experience and knowledge before you decide to speak to other people about it. Until then, be patient in being a student. Be happy that you have the opportunity to learn. Be happy you have the opportunity to experience. Be happy Paramatma has blessed you with an open mind. With that, we will conclude our third video. Bhola chuka di maaf sangat ji. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh ji.